It was June 15th, 2021, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, when a Milwaukee police spotted a vehicle reported stolen, and when officers closed in to confirm it, the driver showed no signs of stopping. Instead, the situation exploded into a pursuit. But what shocked everyone wasn't just the reckless driving, it was who was behind the wheel. The suspect was only 16 years old, and what followed became one of the most unforgettable pursuits in the city's history.
TI 5766 North 99th Street. Female fell off the vehicle.
Kia Sportage, Wisconsin Plate 592, X-Ray Union Tom. Going to be occupied by two juveniles here in Tom. I got some traffic on my side. We're going to be westbound on Good Hope from 99th Street. We're currently 30 miles an hour. We're going to be doing a U-turn, and we're cutting back to go west, or correction, east on Good Hope, slowing down. This car is fucked through. 20 miles an hour, road conditions good, traffic is light. Going to be passing 91st Street. It is now in oncoming traffic.
As the stolen vehicle swerved directly into oncoming traffic, headlights flashed and horns blared as innocent drivers were forced to swerve out of the way. The young suspect showed no hesitation, pushing the stolen car head-on into danger at speeds that could have ended lives in seconds. Realizing the gravity of the situation, officers immediately called for every available unit to converge on the area.
Disregarding the light and still eastbound good. Back into normal lanes of traffic, and it is back into oncoming traffic. Still eastbound, going to be coming up to Bryant Park. If I can get stop sticks at 60th and Good Hope. Going to be northbound on 60th Good. From Good Hope, speeds are 40 miles an hour. Road conditions good, traffic is light. Northbound 60th Street, Great Keys. Good. 4281, we're going to be conducting a U-turn on Bradley, coming back to 60th Street. Lights are diminished, and we're now going to be doing another U-turn on Bradley at 60th, going back west on Bradley.
What stood out in this pursuit wasn't just the suspect's recklessness, but the officer's composure. Even with a teenager driving head-on into traffic at high speeds, the officer kept his voice calm over the radio, relaying location, direction, and every maneuver in real time. It was a textbook example of control under pressure, but with that calmness came restraint. The officer held back, never committing to a physical stop. Maybe it was caution, maybe it was waiting for the right opening, but that hesitation would prove costly, because the next time the suspect darted into oncoming traffic, he didn't correct course. He never came back into his lane.
It is now in oncoming traffic. Traffic is light, road conditions good, speeds are 60 miles an hour.
44, cancel. 4421, cancel number 2, 4212.
Crash, we need medical.
The stolen car slammed head-on into an innocent motorist. The impact was violent, metal twisted, glass shattered, and the pursuit came to a crushing halt. Officers rushed in, pulling the teenage driver and his passenger from the wreck and placing them under arrest. But inside the struck vehicle was 18-year-old Terry, on his way to a Milwaukee Bucks game with a friend. He had nothing to do with the chase, nothing to do with the chaos. He was just in the wrong place at the worst possible time. Terry was rushed to a nearby hospital, but despite every effort, he was later pronounced dead. 5 people in total were injured in the crash, but they survived. One reckless decision not only took Terry's life, but also shattered his family's world, left friends grieving, and sealed the suspect's fate forever. What could have been just a traffic stop turned into one of Milwaukee's most heartbreaking pursuits. On September 21, 2024, a Florida Highway Patrol trooper spotted a white Mercedes-Benz tearing southbound down I-95. The driver, later identified as 20-year-old Andrew Jesus Martinez of Hollywood, Florida, was weaving across lanes at more than 100 miles per hour in a 55 zone, tailgating cars and nearly sparking multiple crashes. When the trooper lit him up, Martinez had no intention of stopping. Instead, he mashed the gas, swerving from the far left lane to the far right, narrowly missing innocent drivers as he fled. The suspect lost control, launching off the road, smashing into a tree, and landing in a ditch. All 4 occupants bailed out. 2 passengers were caught immediately, but Martinez and another man bolted toward Biscayne Bay. Both dove into the water in a desperate bid to escape. Martinez eventually gave up and surrendered, but his passenger never made it out alive. The next morning, around 9:40 a.m., officers discovered his body floating near West 47th Street and Meridian Avenue. Martinez was charged with fleeing and eluding at high speed, reckless driving, resisting arrest, and driving without a license. On April 20th, 2019, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, what started as a drug complaint investigation near 45th, an hour quickly spiraled into one of Milwaukee's most dangerous pursuits. Officers spotted a vehicle tied to the complaint and moved in for a stop. But instead of pulling over, the driver stomped the gas, sending the chase barreling through city streets at deadly speed.
At an intersection, stand by, see where he goes.
Secondary one. 242, we are secondary. Still eastbound on Valley, the Sherman. Traffic is medium. Roads are clear, roads are dry. Still southbound on Sherman, pushing Burleigh. We're through Burleigh here, still southbound on Sherman. He's hitting traffic. We just hit a vehicle to get a PDO only at Chevers. We're going to stop and see if they're okay.
82, we are still continuing as primary. Southbound on Sherman, passing Locust, passing north. Just caught up in a little bit of traffic here. 35, got a red, just turned green. Continuing through 35. Still eastbound on Lisbon.
We're secondary. Price only 65 miles an hour. You're getting caught up in traffic here, approaching 17th Street. Through 17th, continuing east, I believe.
The chase had spiraled completely out of control. After smashing into another vehicle, it was clear the suspect had no limits. Desperate, reckless, and willing to risk anyone's life just to get away. Realizing just how bad it was getting, the pursuing officer called for every available unit to join in before this turned into something far worse. Now, with more patrol cars rushing in from every direction, the pressure was closing in on the suspect. But the question remained, would he surrender or push things past the point of no return?
Roads are dry. Speeds are approximately 90 miles per hour. Still continuing south on I-43. Still continuing south on 43. Traffic's light. Roads are dry. Speeds are approximately 90 miles per hour.
We're passing exit 312 for Beecher. We got off on Beecher, disregard. Got off on exit 312B. South on South 5th Street. We're turning around. East on Beecher. Looks like he's trying to get back on the freeway here.
The chase spilled onto the freeway where the suspect pushed his recklessness to the limit, weaving between cars, nearly clipping mirrors and leaving chaos in his wake. But his run on the open road didn't last long. Just moments later, he darted toward an exit ramp, cutting across lanes with no warning.
Dry traffic's medium. We're getting off on exit 73B currently.
88 secondary. North Ave. I'll take over broadcast from here, get off on the North Avenue exit. We're going to be continuing eastbound and then north on 7th. Continuing east on coming up to MLK, clear right. Still east on Garfield.
Clear. Passing 18th currently. 19th. North on 19th. Clear. Still south on 13th, passing Hope. Clear left, clear right. Clear. Going to be a gray Pontiac G6 two-door under Rockford Studio. Oh! Crash! Horse lines. 1301.
The impact was devastating. The fleeing vehicle struck so hard it sheared off a gas main, ignited flames, and turned a quiet street into chaos. Firefighters battled both the car fire and the growing danger of gas leaking into nearby homes. Inside the struck SUV was an innocent driver, simply running errands for medicine. She survived with minor injuries, but her family rushed to the scene in shock. But the suspect wasn't as fortunate. Rushed to the hospital, the 27-year-old driver was pronounced dead. What began as a drug investigation ended with a fiery crash, a house in danger, and a city reminded of the high cost of fleeing police. Deputies with the Doña Ana County Sheriff's Office began receiving frantic calls. A child was behind the wheel of an SUV, recklessly tearing through the Las Alturas area. The driver wasn't just young, he was only 12 years old. When deputies tried to stop him, the boy refused. What followed was a pursuit unlike anything most officers ever expect to see. The SUV darted through residential streets, swerving through parking lots, at one point stopping just long enough to pick up 3 more kids ages 12 to 15. The chase became even more dangerous as the stolen SUV plowed through motel lots and cut across a Kmart parking lot, deputies struggling to keep up. Then it took a devastating turn. The boy drove the wrong way down a roadway.
Exit behind Sam.
Miraculously, the 12-year-old walked away, uninjured. But inside the other vehicle, there were children, and the driver was rushed to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. When deputies confronted the boy, the body cam told the rest of the story. Crying, shaken, and clutching to excuses, he told officers it wasn't his fault, that the other kids had forced him to drive. But deputies weren't buying it. Ammunition for a 9mm handgun was found on him, and soon after, the gun itself was recovered along the chase route. The boy was taken into custody and booked into the Doña Ana County Detention Center, not just for aggravated fleeing, but also on an outstanding warrant for conspiracy to commit burglary of a vehicle. It was November 6, 2021, when a Lowndes County Sheriff's deputy spotted a silver Suzuki Hayabusa flying down Shiloh Road, clocked more than 20 miles over the limit. The bike, marked with a skull decal, wasn't just speeding, it was about to kick off one of the most reckless runs deputies had seen. When the deputy tried to stop him, the rider, identified as Uriah Wade Hall, slowed briefly near the interstate ramp, only to flash two fingers as if taunting the deputy before blasting southbound onto I-75. At 145 miles per hour, the highway became a chessboard. Troopers closed in from both sides, trying to box Hall in safely, but Hall wasn't ready to surrender. Each time a cruiser edged closer, he twisted the throttle, cutting through the smallest of gaps, barely slipping away. Every second felt like it could end in disaster. Traffic scattered as troopers stayed locked on him, refusing to back down. Hall slipped through one more box in attempt, his motorcycle darting like a bullet between troopers. But with every mile, more units joined the chase. The open gaps he once relied on vanished. The roadway tightened into a moving wall of flashing blue lights, leaving him with no room to breathe, no room to gamble. The suspect lost control, his motorcycle skidding out and throwing him down in the far left lane. Deputies rushed in, rendering medical aid while EMS was called to the scene. But the chase was only half the story. On Hall, investigators found a loaded 9mm pistol, 829 grams of meth, heroin, digital scales dusted with residue, and more than $1,600 in cash. As a convicted felon with priors for burglary, drug trafficking, and even giving a false name to law enforcement, Hall had no business with a firearm or that much narcotics. He was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison without parole. On July 10th, 2021, just after 1:30 a.m., a Coweta County pursuit spilled onto Interstate 85 southbound, and Georgia State Patrol was called to assist. The fleeing driver was behind the wheel of a dark vehicle, lights off, racing into the night at speeds topping 140 miles per hour. As troopers closed in, the suspect swerved recklessly, slamming his brakes whenever a pit attempt was near.
Y'all continue southbound. Good on you, Andy.
Multiple tactical maneuvers attempts failed. Every time troopers lined up, the driver fought back, weaving, braking, and even forcing officers to dodge collisions. The chase spilled onto State Route 18, where the driver spun off the shoulder, careened down an embankment, and somehow clawed his way back onto the ramp, but he wasn't done running.
Alright, I got you stand by. Never mind, we're driving back out of it. We're driving back out. We're still southbound. He tried to exit at 34. Alright, we need to cut back up the embankment. We're going back up toward top of 34 now.
Clear, cutting up the embankment, exit 31 on the 18.
Making a U-turn, cut it through the median. We're coming back.
Y'all going northbound, southbound?
We're back southbound.
We're on southbound.
As a trooper set up for another pit, the suspect did the unthinkable, intentionally ramming the patrol car. The cruiser spun out at highway speeds, barely missing the wood line, but the trooper regained control and dove back into the pursuit.
I just touched him again. Alright, he's still in it.
Well, thanks, Tom. Yeah, go for it.
Pinned against a large oak, the chase was over, or so it seemed. The driver smashed out the rear window and bolted on foot. In the dark woods, a brief chase ended with him being tackled and taken into custody. Inside the car, a passenger with active warrants, and in the back seat, a terrified 4-year-old child. The child was rushed to medics and later reunited safely with family. The driver admitted he fled because his license was suspended and, in his own words, he didn't want to go back to jail. He also admitted to drinking and smoking marijuana while driving at over 140 miles per hour with a child in the car. Blood samples were collected, and he was booked into jail on a long list of charges. For weeks, investigators with the DeSoto County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigative Division had been tracking a massive theft. A $98,000 theft Takeuchi skid steer stolen right off Highway 31. The trail didn't stop in DeSoto. Soon, Highlands and Hendry counties were issuing BOLOS for a black Dodge Ram suspected of hauling the stolen equipment. Deputies watched closely. and eventually that same truck was spotted right back in DeSoto County. On June 9, 2025, deputies moved in, attempting to stop the truck, but the driver, later identified as Yam Pereira Nunez, had other plans. Instead of pulling over, Nunez hit the gas, sparking a high-speed chase down Highway 70. Investigators would later confirm the driver's background: a convicted felon behind the wheel of a stolen truck and driving on an expired license. With that, the Florida Highway Patrol joined the pursuit, working side by side with deputies to bring this dangerous chase to an end.
There, don't hit it at this speed. Zach, you're coming up on a T intersection.
After the primary trooper attempted a pit maneuver not once but twice, the stolen Dodge Ram somehow managed to stay on the road as both attempts failed, and for a moment. But his luck was running out. The suspect began to slow down, his reckless driving taking its toll. That's when a backup trooper closed the distance, moving into position.
He recovered back. It's going westbound on 731. Hit it again, Zach. Don't do that again.
Once again, the suspect managed to recover, leaving troopers in an uncomfortable situation. Every failed pit attempt meant more time on the road, more danger to everyone around, but even when luck seems to be on the suspect's side, it rarely lasts forever. That last pit may not have stopped him, but it did leave its mark. Damage from the maneuver finally caught up with the truck, and soon one of the tires gave out. With rubber peeling off and sparks flying, the Dodge Ram was forced to slow down even more.
Hit it. Signal 4, roll a TMS.
The suspect was later identified as 40-year-old Yam Pereira Nunez, a Cuban national with a long history of trouble. Court records show he was expected in Highlands County just last month, but he never appeared. That's because Pereira Nunez is currently in U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody at the Alligator Alcatraz Detention Facility. He now faces 2 charges in Highlands County: fleeing and eluding and resisting arrest without violence, on top of being a suspect in the high-profile theft of nearly $100,000 worth of construction equipment in Central Florida.